Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back on this beautiful Wednesday night. Uh, Carabao Cup Action ongoing, and that's what we will be um, following tonight in as far as this broadcast is concerned. So please indulge me. As we speak, the games are already underway. That's why I was delayed a bit, trying to get a stable feed for some of my, some of the action that I wish to follow, but to very minimal success, must I say. But as I speak, Chelsea are 2-0 up against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Goals from Andre Santos and Tariq George have made the difference in that game so far. And Manchester City are a goal behind. All those games are in the 27th minute. Arsenal is still 0-0 against Brighton, while Liverpool and Crystal Palace still goalless. 11 minutes into the Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur game is still goalless, while action also continues in as far as the Italian Serie A is concerned. Some games have already been played. Juventus did beat up against Udinese by 3-1, with Kenan Yildiz among the goal scorers there, while Dusan Vlahovic had a goal cancelled for Baviera, although he did score one from the spot kick. And that means Juventus got 2 penalties from that one, while Gatti has scored the other goal for Juventus as they return back to winning ways, I think for the first time in the last 8 games across all competitions. Then Roma beat up against Parma by 2-1, while Como also put 3 past Hellas Verona in that game. In as far as the action from the Carabao Cup is concerned, Arsenal looked a bit more open. Like the starting 11, like we predicted, majority of the players that we almost figured would start in today's fixture have started. Majority of them have started, and I think and it can show in the way Arsenal play. Apologies, I was having our audience tested just to make sure everything is okay. So because you have an entirely defensive partnership, Pierre Hincap and Christian Mosquera, who have never played together as a centre back pairing, you have Maz Ruiz-Kelly, you have Ben White in the back 4, and Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. You have a midfield of Christian Nogard, Mikel Merino, and Ethan Wanyeri, who have never played together before. You have a front 3 of Ebeleche Eze, Max Dorman, and Anos. So many changes. Mikel Arteta has made at least 11 changes from the team that started against Crystal. He has made 10 changes from the team that started up against Crystal Palace over the weekend. So with those many changes, you expect a bit of sloppiness there. You expect that chemistry to be non-existent amongst these players because it's the first time they are playing together. So you can't blame them. And you've seen on multiple occasions they've been penetrated. That midfield, Brighton have been able to break through it and get to the defense and even go beyond that. So it's been a bit concerning if you're an Arsenal fan, given how Arsenal have started the game. But let's hope that the results at the end of the day will be much different or much better than how they've looked in the opening first half an hour of that encounter between them and Brighton. In the last 10 fixtures at this stage of the AFL Cup, Arsenal have been beaten up against 7 times. So in case you're looking for inspiration or something to be really positive about or something to hold on to, just know that Arsenal's record is not one that is going to help you on the night, on the night. And yet the first thing what Arsenal should be looking to do is to avoid conceding at all costs. Brighton themselves are a little bit lightweight by their own standards, they've all equally made some significant changes in as far as their starting 11 is concerned. So, but Arsenal do have a very, very strong bench, as do Brighton, because both sides decided to make some significant changes. And those changes are evident in the way they are performing, particularly for the side of Arsenal. Like I told you, there's just one too many changes in that team, and you do not expect the same performance. You do not expect the same solidity. Um, you know, you cannot have just the same expectations. The way Max Doman tracks back, the way he helps in the counter press isn't the best of it. Then you do have, like I said, there's just not chemistry amongst these players. Yes, they train with each other week in, week out, but it's not the same thing as playing a game of football together. So you ought to be mindful of that. If you have any expectations of this Arsenal side, bear that in mind that things are not as you'd really hope for them to be. They're not really as you would hope for them to be. But yeah, for now it's still goalless. For now it's still goalless. But like I've told you, Chelsea are already 2-0 up against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and those goals scored by Andre Santos and Derek George have made the difference for them. While Manchester City did find themselves very early, a goal behind. I think, is it Goncalo something? That's the player that scored for Swansea. Yeah, so apologies. Liverpool, like I said, need to grind out a victory today. Yes, it's Franco. Franco. Franco was the goal scorer in as early as Goncalo Franco. Yes, was the goal scorer in as early as the 12th minute of that game for for Chelsea and sorry for Manchester City and Swansea. Swansea are playing at home. Then Newcastle and Tottenham, that one is still goalless. In terms of getting you the actual starting 11 for this Arsenal side, like I've told, but I've given it to you. I've read it out. Maybe we need to find that one for Brighton and also give it to you so that you sort of understand where I'm coming from when I say that things have not kicked off as strong as you would have hoped if you're an Arsenal fan. So do let me know what your predictions are. Earlier on in the day, I was on a TikTok live with a lady from Ireland who is an Arsenal fan. Her name eludes me, but we're on a live on TikTok, and she said her prediction was a 2-0 victory for Arsenal. I went for a 2-1 victory for Arsenal. I thought that today they are bound to concede. They are bound to concede a goal. They are bound to concede a goal. And when you look at the way they are defending, right from midfield and backwards, it does show that if Brighton try to push for this hard enough, then just maybe they could get a result here, or at least they will get a goal in today's game, you know. But so far so good. No damage has been inflicted on either side. So speaking of, okay, just a moment. I mean, when you went further back in around the 34th minute, third minute thereabouts, that tag on Miles Lewis Kelly, I mean, he had gone through, you know. I suspect he was going to try and go for goal, but the resultant free kick did not yield much. The resultant free kick did not yield much. With the absence of all the kinds of players that they do have that are very critical in their set piece play, excuse me, you hardly do you expect that you're going to have the same kind of results. with the set pieces. And, you do not have Declan Rice, you know. Um, they took the free kick, it hit the wall, they couldn't float in the ball back quick enough, and things like that. So, I mean, it's just what it is. It's just what it is. But yeah, let's have a look at some of the starting lineups that there is tonight. Even though we're already beyond the halfway mark. In fact, in that Arsenal game, we're about what 7 minutes to halftime, thereabouts. But like I told you, on the side of Brighton, they do have Jason Stele in goal. They have John Paul Van Hecke. They have Diego Copla and Olivia Boscagli. In the back three, they have Carlos Baleba, Diego Gomez, they have Max Dicopia, and Freddie Kadioglu there in midfield four. So it's a 3-4-2-1 kind of system where you have a back three, the wing backs, and two the double pivot. They have Jorginho Rota, Chalarompas Costulas. Yes. Charalompos Acostulas, and then Stefano Timaz. That's the starting 11 for Brighton. When you look at their bench, they do have Lewis Dunk, Yankuba Minte, Tom Winston, Danny Welbeck, Yassine Ayari, Mats Wafer, Niels Warming, Joe Knight, and Freddie Simmons. Simmons, yes. On the side of Arsenal, they do have Declan Rice, they have Martin Zubimendi, they have Ricardo Carafioli, Leandro Trossard, Victor Gyökeres, Julian Timber, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Magalhaes, and David Raya. So basically, their starting 11 is on the bench, and they have the second 11 out there. Although on the bench, it's about what 9 players that do form the bench. Only 5 of which are allowed to come on during the course of the game. Should Arsenal want to better their fortunes, should they want to better their fortunes? I was looking at the team that started for Manchester City against Swansea, and they do have James Trafford in goal. Their backline has, I think, O'Reilly. It has Kushanov. It has Nathan Ake. I mean, it's when you look at that team sheet for Manchester City, I mean, it does look decent enough, right from the backline. Of course, it's not their A team, but in fact, they've restored parity. It's 1-1. Jeremy Doku, the goal scorer in the 39th minute to restore parity for Manchester City. Like I was saying, Ryan Achnery is back. Nico Gonzalez in midfield. Ryan Cheki, Jeremy Doku, David Mukasa, Oscar Bob. So it's Rico Woods playing at left right back, not O'Reilly. So apologies. But with Omar Mamush leading the lines. I mean, this is a team literally that could start in any game in the Premier League. You remember James Trafford before the coming in of Georgie Mamadashvili was starting games for Manchester City. Nathan Ake, quite experienced. Kushner brought in January. Rico Ruiz started games. Ryan Achnery, new left back, brought in this summer. Nico Gonzalez, arrival in January. Ryan Cheki, summer arrival. Jeremy Doku, main starter. David Mukasa is an academic talent that Pep Guardiola has chosen to give some minutes here and there. I think he did provide an assist in their last EFL Cup game. Oscar Bob is well documented. Omar Mamush, same story. So then when you look at their bench, they have Marcus Bettinelli, Gianluigi Donnarumma. Marcus Bettinelli is a goalkeeper as well. John Stones, Josh Covadio, Savinho, Matas, Nunes, Nico O'Reilly, Calvin Phillips, and Drew Foden. So no Brad Erling Haaland in that one. So be mindful of that. I do not know. Maybe given how Brighton have, given how this first half has gone so far, I think Mikel Arteta will be the happier of managers to have this game go into halftime goalless, because Brighton have created the more better goal scoring opportunities compared to Arsenal. Somebody was making an argument earlier on in the day in one of our forums, or on a forum that I was a part of, and they were saying that maybe Martins Zubimendi should start this game because next week, midweek, he's not going to be available to start when the press of Slavia Praha because he's going to be suspended, having accumulated 3 yellow cards. And I was thinking to myself, maybe you're right, but also he needs that rest. He needs that rest. Given that weekend you play you have an away game against Burnley, whereas you want to argue that Burnley is not the toughest of opponents that you're going to find out there on a given day. You cannot take them lightly. You know, you cannot take them lightly. You know, we know we know how difficult they can be to break down. And going into that game, I have this kind of expectation that they could play with a low block and then look to catch Arsenal on the counter as majority of teams are trying to play versus Arsenal this season, including the Giants like Manchester City. So you need Martin Zubimendi to be fully fit in that game. So let's wait and see. Meanwhile, Mikel Merino is the one wearing the armband for this Arsenal side tonight. In case you're wondering, that with the absence of all those, senior starters, who is wearing the armband for this Arsenal side. Newcastle have found the back of the net while Chelsea are 3 up. Fabian Schär is the goal scorer in the 24th minute for Newcastle, with Sandro Tonali providing the assist. I'm not watching that game, just giving you the updates. Chelsea are 3-0 up, like I told you. This time around, it's William Estaval. When you look at Chelsea, they equally have a very strong starting 11 out there. Philippe Jorgensen is in goal, Tosin Aderabi and Joshua Achepong. In that centre back, Joel Hato at left back, Malo Gusto at right back, Romeo Lavia in midfield alongside Andre Santos, Facundo Benanote, Jamie Gittens, William Estaval, and Tarek George. Wolverhampton Wanderers have Jose Matt Doherty, Yosen Mosquera, Totti Gomez, David Wolfe, Emmanuel Agbado in midfield. You have you have Jackson, Joao Gomez, Fa Lopez, Wang Hichan, and Tolu Arokodari. Yes, that's how we'll set up. Again, we were speaking about this game as well on that TikTok live that I've been making reference to. And I was telling guys that look, I have zero expectations of Wolves to get a result against Chelsea because they've not done anything so far this season to suggest that they are capable of getting a result against any opponent on a given day. Aman Shaba, is that how you pronounce your name? Which tribe? Which tribe? Football. The tribe is football. So that's why it says football tribe. Robert Kesakos is my name, and I'm coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. But thanks for asking. Kindly leave me a like on the podcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel, seeing that you're new here. But yeah, the tribe is a football tribe community. That's as simple as it is. There's no semantics to it, There's no hidden meaning or anything to it. It's as plain as you read it. Just a tribe of football fans are coming together to enjoy the game. Okay. I mean, there's just that sort of gaping hole in the Arsenal midfield that Brighton are easily gliding through it. They made it look so simple for Brighton. Christian Norgard and Mikel Merino should be doing much better, and Ethan Wanyeri to protect that midfield to try and shield the back four. I mean, they need to work a lot harder and be a bit more consistent in their press. Otherwise, Brighton is going through them quite easily. And I won't be surprised if among the changes we get to see tonight, among them could be, among them will be perhaps Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi, because, you know, there's just too much space. And for the key moments they've created so far in this first half, Arsenal, once again they're looking for that moment to literally walk the ball into the back of the net. The game has gone into halftime and it's a 0-0. Like I said, Ateta will be the happier manager of the two, to know that the game has gone into halftime goalless, because it's Brighton that have had the brighter moments. Meanwhile, Liverpool at the receiving end, or seem to be at the receiving end of another thumping against Crystal Palace, because Ismail Sarr has already scored a brace against this Liverpool side in the 40th minute, and the 45th minute. There goes from Ismail Sarr, and their Crystal Palace are 2-0 up against Liverpool. Let's look at this Liverpool squad. They have Freddie Woodman in goal. They have Calvin Ramsey, Joe Gomez, and Robertson as a centre back. Milos Kakes, Wataru Endo, Tyra Morris Nyoni, Kian Morrison, Alexis McAllister, Riongo Moha, and Federico Chiesa as the striker. Whereas on the other side, you have Walter Benitez, Maxence Lacoste, Macri, Jaden Covet, Daniel Munoz, Will Hughes, Daichi Kamada, Bona Sosa, Jeremy Pino, Ismail Sarr, and Edin Ketia are starting for Crystal Palace. You can see that Crystal Palace have a very, very strong starting level. Jeremy Pino, Ismail Sarr are starters. Same applies for McRae, Lacoste, Maxence is a starter, Jade Covet can start, Daniel Mones is a starter, Daichi Kamada is a starter. So you can see what Crystal Palace have done it for this one. I'd thought that maybe Anna Slot wouldn't fill that kind of starting 11 that is to even handle Crystal Palace. I thought he needed the victory, to have something to be positive about in this kind of spell where everything is not going their way. But even when you look at their bench, it has Passage, Kate Gordon, Trent Conney, all of them are literally academy players. All of them. You do not have much to look to. So Liverpool are being beaten. They're 2-0 down in the 50th minute of stoppage time from the first half. And it's not looking pretty. It's not looking pretty. That's all I can say, It is not looking pretty for Liverpool. And yeah, again, as part of that conversation, I don't know if I can remember her name. The lady that I was with from Ireland earlier on in the day, with whom we were discussing these games. I've forgotten her name, but she was saying she was feeling positive about Liverpool, and I was telling her, I just don't see it. I do not see why you get the positivity that Liverpool are going to win this game. They've not beaten Crystal Palace in the last 2 games. We spoke about that, and he said, yeah, there's going to be an upset for at least 1 or 2 of the big teams tonight, and he did not expect Liverpool to be one of those. Well, all day long, I kept saying, I will reserve my predictions for until when I get to see the starting 11s. Now that I have seen the starting 11s, I do not see a way how Liverpool are winning this game. I can see how Man City are winning this game. I can see Chelsea winning this game. I expect Chelsea to win that. Same applies for Man City. I knew that Arsenal are going to struggle through this game, but nonetheless, I still fancy them to progress. Newcastle have the home advantage. They are the reigning champions. They want to be better in this competition, but We're talking about two sides that can be very, very conservative. Let's look at their starting levels. They have Aaron Ramsdale, Newcastle have Aaron Ramsdale in goal. They have Emil Kraft, they have Fabian Shah, Malik Thor, and Dan Ban. Very strong, backline. Joe Willock in midfield, Sandro Tonali, and Jacob Ramsey, another strong, midfield. Jacob Ramsey, summer recruit from Aston Villa. Joe Willock has been there for, I think, the last 4 years at Newcastle. Sandro Tonali, we know, is very, very good. Anthony Elanga, Nick Volkmada, and Harvey Barnes. So that's how brilliant. Volkmada is a starter. Harvey Barnes can be a starter in the absence of Gordon, and Anthony Elanga is a starter, the new buy from Nottingham Forest. When you look at the side of Tottenham Hotspurs, they have Antonin Kinski. In goal, they have Pedro Porro, a starter. Kevin Danso, Joao Paulinho is being played in defense alongside Jody Space. Again, Jody Space starter, Paulinho starter, Pedro Porro starter. In midfield, they have Rodrigo Bentancur and Pepe Matsar. Those are starters. You have Xavi Simons playing as a 10, Lucas Bagville, Brennan Johnson, and Rick Carlson. Again, very, very strong starting 11s for these two sides. For the side of Newcastle, on their bench, they do have Nick Pope, Kieran Trippier, Steven Botman, Joelinton, Anthony Gordon, William Osula, Jacob Murphy, Bruno Guimaraes, and Lewis Miley. Very, very strong at bench. On the side of Tottenham, they have Brandon Austin, Luca Gunter, or Ganta, Matthias Telles, Muhammad Kudus, Mickey Van de Ven, Rando Kolomwani. I do not know why he's not started this kind of game. Danny Scarlett, Calm Olusesi, and James Roswell. A bit of an average starting, bench there, but you have some starters like Kudos, you have Mickey Van de Ven, you have Matthias Telles as some of the notable figures on that Tottenham bench in as far as tonight is concerned. Let's see. Let's see what else we can pick on as most of these games are already into halftime, with Chelsea having a 3-0 lead at halftime, 1-1 between Manchester City and Swansea, 2-0 in favor of Crystal Palace away to Liverpool, while it's goalless between Arsenal and Brighton. When you look at the statistics from that Arsenal game and Brighton, you can see that Arsenal have had 0 shots on target. They've only had 1 shot off target. That's how poor they've been in the opening half, even though they've dominated possession to, the marginal 52% compared to Brighton's 48%. Brighton have had 3 shots on target. They've had 6 shots off target. You can see how very forward going they've been. Corner kicks have been 3-1 in favor of Arsenal. In that sort of sense. And then, those are some of the key statistics that you can look at. And Kepa Arrizabalaga has had to be sort of very alert to the threats that have been coming his way in the opening stanza. Like I said, if I'm Mikel Arteta and I want to change the 14s in this particular fixture, I think what I would start with is that midfield. First of all, bring on maybe Gyökeres on for Andre Anos, withdraw Anos, bring on Martin Zubimendi, in this game. Those are some of it. I'll bring on Bukayo Saka for Max Dorman. Those would be the first 3 changes that I would look to make. Zubimendi in midfield, I do not know. I think I would sacrifice Mikel Merino in this particular case. Play Christian Nogard as the 6, Zubimendi as the 8, Bukayo Saka to the right, Berete Eze stays to the left, Ethan Nwaneri stays on for some time, and then Victor Gyökeres up front. That's how I would go for things in that case. I wouldn't tamper with the back 4 as well as the goalkeeper. No would one expect that to be the case. But the only consolation they can hang on to is the fact that they've not conceded a throw at the first half. Then also, Okay, we'll pause that at the moment. But yeah, action in the French League One is ongoing. PSG have been forced in a 1-1 draw against Lorient. That game has finished. Then Olympic Marseille should be in action against Angers. Allow me to refresh my page. Um, Angers are leading Olympic Marseille by goal to nil. Lyon are leading Paris FC by goal to nil. Strasbourg and Auxerre is 0-0. Same applies for Toulouse and Stade Rennes. Nantes and AC Monaco is 1 apiece. Le Havre are beat up against Brest by goal to nil, while Metis beat up against Lens by 2 goals to nil. And then Nice also 1 against Lille by a similar score, 2 goals to nil. Then, in the DFB Pokal Cup, that's in Germany, Bayern Munich are 2-1 up against FC Cologne. In that game, there's so many games from the DFB Pokal, but we won't go through them. Then, as we speak in the Italian Serie A, Bologna is still 0-0 with Torino. Then Cremonese are leading Genoa by goal to nil. Inter Milan is still 0-0 against Fiorentina, while I told you about Como having beaten up against Hellas Verona by 3 goals to 1 in that particular fixture. So what Italian Serie A game should we follow? Maybe the Inter Milan game, because I believe it has more significance compared to all the others. But as we follow on it, I will try to. Jan Sommer nearly committed the halwa. But as I will try and see if we can get the feed for that game between Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspurs. Most of my sources have been very, I don't want to say unresponsive, but have been very, very disappointing tonight. Have been very, very disappointing. Did not deliver to the expectations. And not much has changed. Yeah, so otherwise, Fiorentina are living dangerously. They are living dangerously as we speak. I mean, there's going to be an absolute meltdown about Liverpool tonight. And like I understand him resting all those players when it comes to Enzo Maresca because him not wanting to risk it all. Because when you look at excuse me, when you look at Liverpool's upcoming fixtures, I mean, it's going to be a very, very difficult run coming up for them because they have a game against Aston Villa over the weekend on Saturday at 11 p.m. They'll play on Tuesday at 11 p.m. against Real Madrid. The beauty for them is that they're going to play 3 consecutive fixtures at home. Today against Crystal Palace, against Aston Villa, and against Real Madrid. All those are home games. Then they will play a Manchester City away on Sunday the 9th of November before the international break. And then after the international break, that's when they have Forest, PSV, and West Ham to wrap up the month of November. But those, which I think should be fairly easier fixtures compared to what they have at the moment. Now, I do not know, but given the current form of Liverpool, the current trends, I do not see how they win any of them next 3 fixtures. Against Aston Villa, maybe can they bounce back and get a draw? We'll wait and see. Real Madrid, I do not see them beating up against Real Madrid. Real Madrid are not playing well, but they are finding ways to win. Like, it's not to say they've not played well in a single game this season. they've had some really, really good games, but you know, they are Real Madrid. Then Manchester City, yes, they abroad Erling Haaland reliance, but they've been a bit more consistent. Take away the defeat that they suffered over the weekend against Aston Villa, and they were they had managed 4 wins out of the previous 5 in the Premier League. The other being the draw, which was against Arsenal. Among those victories coming against, I think, was it teams like Burnley, beating up against Everton, beating up against Brentford, you know. So those are the kinds of opponents that Liverpool are going to be up against. So while I understand Anna Slot maybe reserving the energies of his players in build up to these games, my challenge with sometimes resting his players is you rest players to preserve them for a particular game or a particular set of games, and then they lose. I mean, I saw a lot of that with Arsene Wenger. You know, whether it was he had the fixture in the Premier League and he had a subsequent fixture in the Champions League, he just lost both. It was never working, you know. And I'm not saying it's not going to work for Liverpool, but I'm saying I do not have much hope that it will, you know. And like my argument in the build-up through that particular game against Crystal Palace was such that Liverpool players have not done anything whatsoever to warrant themselves a rest. They've absolutely not done anything. You know, they're so poor. They've been so poor in the last 4 Premier League games that you put them out there and tell them play win against Crystal Palace or you're losing the week's wage. I do not know if that is legally allowed, but you're not getting bonuses or week's wage. You know, you can be. You're Liverpool. You're the reigning champions. You ought to do better. There's that expectation that you should be better. You know, and you should be able to live to that expectation. No, I do not expect. I do not think anyone does expect for Liverpool to be winning, let's say, every single game. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying show a bit of fight. Do not lose to Brentford. And I'm not saying Brentford is the weakest team, but find a way to get results. Find a way to pick up a draw. Excuse me, apologies for the over yawning. It's been a bit of a very, very long day, I must acknowledge. And I know as soon as this broadcast ends, I think I'll be rushing to my bed, even though I have some work to get, by the way. I have some work to get out of the way. But we'll see. We'll see. You know? So, anyways, the second half has resumed for some of these games. Newcastle have gone into halftime with their 1-0 leads. That goal scored by Fabian Shah. Chelsea are back in action for the second half. Same applies for Manchester City. Arsenal are back as well. I do not know whether any changes have been made at halftime. I need to cross-check and see if Brighton have made a halftime change, bringing on Yassin Yari for Chalalombos Costolas. Yes, Costolas there. That's the only change that has been made by Brighton as we speak. So let's get back to the big, the watch along for the second half. And I hope, let me hope my feet do not betray me, but they have so far not done me justice tonight, you know. But let's wait and see. Ah, wow. Yawn after yawn, yawn after yawn. Oh. Inter still trying to find the breakthrough against against Fiorentina, but David De Gea has just pulled off an immaculate save for Fiorentina. Man, sometimes you watch David De Gea in goal and you wonder why he's not playing for an elite team. And no offense to Fiorentina, you know. Moises Kean also in there for Fiorentina, you know, one of the big boys in there, or some of the names that you may know. Max Doman causing, sorry, Max Doman causing Brighton some bit of problems. But yeah, my feed is a couple of seconds behind because I think it's more like of a secondary feed, not a primary feed, if you know what I mean. So please bear with me as we do the watch along for this second half of Arsenal versus Brighton. It's an overplayed ball. What are they thinking? Oh, Arsenal are living dangerously in as far as this game is concerned. Uh, Kepa Arrizabalaga having to bail them out on numerous occasions, as you would expect. Uh, Wolverhampton Wanderers have pulled one back in the second half through Arokodare. Yes. Uh, one key time providing the assist in that one. So it's 3-1 in favor of Chelsea. Man City is still 1-1, and Liverpool are still 2-0 down against Palace. We're already into the 53rd minute of the game, but my Arsenal field, like I told you, is slightly behind on this one. But bear with me. I will be keeping you abreast on all the key happenings on what's happening tonight. I hope I'm not missing out on any comments. YouTube sometimes wiseks and filters out comments. Brighton have gotten into the white spaces or, you know, in front of goal. They've not made it count. They've not made it count, you know. But like I told you, they found ways to break through that Arsenal midfield. It's not looking positive. Beautiful ball. not the best of fast artists from Eze, but it was a beautiful ball from when he couldn't bring it under his control. Great passage of play. Oh, one day Ben White and Urian Timber are going to receive yellow cards for holding on to the ball too long, being thrown in. I can guarantee that. Particularly for this Arsenal game, I'm interested in seeing how Hinkap fares 1v1, but also as a leader. Not that he's the oldest, that backline, because Ben White is, but in the centre back pairing, he's 21, Hinkap is 23, so, and he has more experience. He won a league title in German, unbeaten, so he has that experience. Beautiful pass from Wanyeri to find Eze. Lacked a bit of power. Last season, Arsenal made it to the semi-finals of the EFL Cup and lost out to Newcastle home and away. You know that at the semi-finals stage, they play home and away. You host your opponent, they host you. That's just how it works before you head out to the final, or to decide who goes through for the final. That is played at Wembley Stadium. Max Doman is 15 and playing. It's a little negative. He didn't need to. And Moss could have tried to cross that ball. What is a can get the pass right on that occasion. It's an overly high line for Arsenal to play. It's 1-0 to the Arsenal. Ethan Wanyeri They found a way through and they lead by a goal to nil. They've had to be patient, probed, knocked it around on the backs, but towards the hour mark, Arsenal won, Brighton 0. Miles Lewis Kelly with the assist, but I think it was Mikel Merino with a great touch, with a back heel to find Miles Lewis Kelly, and then Ethan just wraps his foot around it first time, takes a slight deflection, and goes beyond the reach of the goalkeeper. Arsenal 1, 0 Brighton and Hove Albion. It was brilliant piece, play. It's been patient. It's beautiful patterns. For a team that has been gotten a lot of stick for not creating enough in open play. I thought that was a brilliant, really, really, really brilliant. Eze, can he get through? Ebeleche Eze had an attempt deflected wide. They get on, oh, quick pass to him, right from midfield, drives it forward, and it is that 18 yards box, tries to bend it to the far corner, but it takes a deflection that takes it wide, just a couple of inches wide of the goal. And Arsenal need a second goal to sort of cement their status in this game. Not that it will be enough to win it. Quite a cheeky pass from Mikel Merino to find Ebeleche is. Sorry, to find Miles Lewis Kelly. Apologies, just enjoying the game. uh, I mean, yeah, we are following, on the game between Arsenal and Brighton, and Arsenal are 1-0 up against Brighton and Hove Albion. That goal scored by Ethan Wanye. We are into the 60 something minutes, 63rd, 64th minute of the game. All the other squads have not changed. Tottenham still a goal behind against Newcastle. Chelsea 3-1 up against Wolves. Swansea Man City still 1-1. Crystal Palace still leading by 2 goals to nil. The last thing we want to avoid in this competition also is penalties, because once it ends in a draw in normal time, you go straight into penalties. And with penalties, we know it can end either way. No, it goes beyond how, I mean, it directly goes out of your hand, literally. The jury is still out once it's all square by full time. So what Arsenal need here is to try and find, you know, they need to find that second goal. They need to find that second goal. Um, Fabian Hatzela just need to make some changes, more changes, in addition to Yasin Ayari, who has already come on. Uh, Given that we already passed the 1 hour mark, I think Mikel Arteta should also be pondering his options. Should be pondering his options. Arsenal will be up against Burnley over the weekend. Then after that, they will take on Slavia Praha in the UEFA Champions League before returning to the Premier League to play against Sunderland. So that's going to be three more fixtures to be played before we head into the November international break. Yep. Oh, Inter Milan are yet to find a way through against Fiorentina. That game is still goalless. That game is still goalless as we speak. There's a goal elsewhere. Newcastle have made it 2-0. That goal scored by Nick Volkman. I mean, it's just a brilliant striker. I mean, he's he's enjoying life in Newcastle. Nick Volkman scoring to make it 2-0 in favor of Newcastle. Home advantage looks to be paying off. They are the reigning champions of the competition, so they are the team to beat in this competition. Meanwhile, Pierre Hincap is the first Ecuadorian to play for Arsenal. Looks to have the pace on him. Wafer is coming on for Max de Copia or the Cooper. Yankuba Minte equally coming on, Brighton looking to make things a bit more difficult for his Arsenal side. That's why I said Mikel Arteta equally should be pondering his options right as we speak. Mikel Arteta is about to make, I think, a trio of changes to respond to the changes that Brighton have made. It's only the wise thing to do because Arsenal will need to be sharp at defending against the likes of Yankuba Minte. Oh, Christian Mosquera getting caught up with the ball. During Kapi with the brilliant blow, but Christian Mosquera playing himself into trouble. That was clumsy. Trying to be overly confident and overly smart is very, very unnecessary. Almost cost his team with his sloppiness. He will know that. Nkapie has been withdrawn for Gabriel Magalhaes. Julian Timber is equally coming on. Katik says, hello, brother. Hello to you too. How are you, my brother? Katik ready. Hi, how are you doing? I hope you've been okay for the days you've been away. But yeah, you and Timber, Max Dome, you and Timber has come on. Doman has been withdrawn, and Bukayo Saka has been brought on to help Arsenal see through this game. Let's see. You and Timber came on for Ben White. Gabi paved the way for Gabriel Magalhaes, and Max Dorman paved the way for Bukayo Saka. You know, yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. And straight away he's handed the captain's armband, Bukayo Saka. Who know me daily, waiting for you. Oh, I do this every day. You are waiting for me every day, every single night at 11 p.m. East African time, and every single morning at 9 a.m. or anywhere between 9 and 10 a.m. We always do come live. So for as long as you're available, we are always here to discuss everything football. Otherwise, I hope you've been okay. I hope you've been doing okay. I hope you've been doing okay. Ability is getting knocked off the park. He's had an okay game. He's played with a bit of more freedom. He's looked more lively. Yes, he's not been against the toughest of opponents in terms of the player quality that Brighton started with, but we ought to commend his game today. He's been brilliant. Yeah, we're trying to attack that ball, drop for Saka. Oh, being chaotic. Wow. Even when you're trying to find the second of the night, still eluding him. Uh, yep. Mm, let's see. Arsenal still trying to find. They go deep. Is it in? How did that not go in? How did that not go in? Still wondering how that did not go in. Let's see. Oh, Mikel Merino headed it, and the goalkeeper saved it right on the line. Cause chaos, chaos in that sort of forbidden area. Uh, uh, yes, there is a handball, but not a penalty. Ball hits his thigh, then goes to the arm. Typically, what you would call a both hand. I know it's not a rule, it's not a thing, but yeah, would be harsh to give. It's 2-0 for the Arsenal. Goal, Bukayo Saka, right on target. 2-0 to the Arsenal. I think it's done here. It's game is as good as sealed. Uh, Meanwhile, it's 3-2 between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Chelsea. Man City is still 1-1. Crystal Palace still leading 2-0 against Liverpool. Saka on the rebound. Anos has his attempt set by the goalkeeper. Then Saka picks up the pieces and he scores. And he scores 2-0 to the Arsenal. Wolfie scored for Wolves. That game is into the 76th minute with Chelsea being threatened. Beautiful pass from Urian Timber to find a nose. Can't get past the goalkeeper. Bukayo Saka is there to pick up the fill up, the pull up. 2-0 to the Arsenal. Man City are yet to find a way through against Swansea. It's still 1-1. As we speak, we're into the 78th minute in that game. And Nose has been withdrawn for Declan Rice. I think Mikel Merino goes up front. Declan Rice coming in for a nudge means Mikel Merino goes up front and Mikel Arteta looks like he wants to see out this game. Yeah, I move on. I move on. Think about Bukayo Saka. It doesn't need to look too decent in a game to find the back of the net. It just needs a good opportunity and, you know, question is who do you want to face in the quarterfinal? If I'm Arsenal, I'm praying for either Cardiff City. I'm praying for either Cardiff City or what's the other team? Um, Cardiff City, Brentford, and there's another team that went through yesterday. Trying to find the games from yesterday. I wouldn't ask for Fulham or Brentford. I'd rather go Cardiff City. Yep, not any of the other opponents. Not because you're guaranteed going through, but you use a bit of a light opponent in what's going to be Black November, very, very busy schedule, Black November leading into Christmas and things like that. You know, finally, Manchester City find a breakthrough against a Swansea. Omar Mamos on target in the 77th minute to make it 2-1 for Manchester City. Looks like Man City are on course with this one and also advanced to the quarterfinals of a competition that they won for 4 consecutive years between 2018 and 2021. They won in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. For those 4 consecutive years, it was all Man City. Twice beating up against Arsenal, by the way. It's now all about game management for Arsenal to see this game through and make sure nothing miraculous happens um, whatsoever. Yep, Leandro Trossard being brought on to replace ability is Trossard against his former side Brighton has scored against them before, by the way. Thinking that 2023-2024 campaign when they wore that, yellow jersey as their away kit. I think if it does finish 2-0, Kalatika will be really delighted in the kind of performance, particularly in the second half of the put on. They've defended well. They've not conceded so many chances in the second half as they did in the first half. Um, beyond that sloppiness of Christian Mosquera where he conceded possession quite clumsily, you do not recollect on much when they gave away so much. But Danny Welbeck, another former Arsenal player, equally on the pitch here to see if he can find an inspiration or a consolation against his former bosses. You know, oh, Gabriel gave that one away. Cristiano got good. Brilliant block. Firmino having some tired legs there, getting knocked off the turf. Like he's a papyrus tree. Oliver Bosco Gali getting booked there for his reaction. When the referee gives a foul for his push on for his push on Mikeme, goes in absolute meltdown. Um, yep, no big updates in as far as the scorelines are concerned. Man City leading 2-1 against Swansea. Crystal Palace 2-0 up against Liverpool. Chelsea still 3-2 up against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And then Arsenal 2-0 here against Brighton. And then, of course, Newcastle leading by 2 goals to 0 against Tottenham Hotspur. That's beautiful interplay. Just too many bodies. Arsenal box for Brighton to find a through. Chelsea have sealed it. That's the fourth in this one, 4-2. Uh, Meanwhile, Liam Delap returned from injury, came on and got himself sent off, red card. But it's Janet Gittins who provided two assists for Andres Santos and Tarek George in the first half that he's on target, that is on target for Chelsea. Um, they are Chelsea to guarantee that they advance to the quarterfinals of the EFL Cup. Already into the 92nd minute of the game, and still not picking this one up. We need to find out Inter Milan. Oh, Inter Milan are 3-0 up against Fiorentina. I do not know why my feed decided to tell me otherwise. Inter Milan are 3-0 up against Fiorentina. That game is into the 89th minute. Meanwhile, the draws are going to be on tonight for the quarterfinals in the aftermath of that Tottenham Hotspur game against Newcastle. Arsenal will be the fourth ball. That's according to the commentators. Fans are already exiting the stadium. I think they're thinking to themselves, we are as good as done here. Yankuba means a bit that is there. Oh, Leandro Trossard hit the best of the uprights with an attempt from the outside of the area. Whoa, Wolves have the third against Chelsea. I mean, hasn't that been an interesting game? Manchester City 3-1 up against Swansea. Ryan Cherki on target with Joshko Vardiol. That's an assist and the goal for Ryan Cherki. Crystal Palace have the third against Liverpool through Jeremy Pino. That one is also in the first minute of stoppage time. We're into the 6th minute of that Arsenal game. But let's see who is found the back of the net. Wolfie on target. That's a burst for Wolfie. There for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Unfortunately for them, they woke up just a little too late. I don't know. You feel it's just a little too late for them. It's finished for Arsenal, of course, 2-0 in favor of the Gunners against Brighton. Another clean sheet kept. Um, Another clean sheet kept. A beautiful result on the match. Liverpool are as good as out. Crystal Palace are still in it. Manchester City are still in it, as well as Chelsea as we speak. If Wolverhampton Wanderers do not find the equalizer, then made it a nail biting end or saga there for uh, Wolves. You know, I mean, yep, can't find it, can't find it. Anyways, that's Newcastle still leading by 2 goals to nil. Man City game is finished 3-1. Chelsea still 4-3 up against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Liverpool been knocked out 3-0. Let's see who scored. Crystal Palace's goal scored by Jeremy Pino as well as Ismail Sarr with the burst. Yep, full-time score. Chelsea 4, Wolves 3. It's finished there as well. So that's what's up from the. That's all we need to know from the EFL Cup. All we are waiting for is for that game between Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur, and for us to know what the quarterfinal draws will be as we speak. Otherwise, I wish you a blessed night. Thank you so much, already, for being part of tonight's podcast, and every single one of you that managed to tune in. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.